Hello guys, welcome to a brand new video, and today I'll be showing you different types of mountain bike forks and how to buy one and the differences. So the first main difference in a mountain bike fork is that there's two different types. A straight fork, like this, a straight fork, or a tapered fork. The differences is a straight fork is factory made to where it comes in one diameter and never changes the diameter for your frame. A tapered fork is made for a special frame, a tapered frame, where instead of having a straight tube, it has this more angled tube that fits on certain tapered frames. A non-tapered non-tapered fork is usually not as expensive as a tapered fork. Tapered forks are more of the higher end forks, and non-tapered ones there's some good non-tapered or straight forks, but there's the big brands like Fox don't usually make them non-tapered. So now for the second difference is that there's two different types of forks, an air fork and a spring fork. Okay, so an air fork, as you can see, has the suspension is powered by air, and instead of a coil going inside of it, like right here, it's an air chamber that goes by air pressure. The air pressure, there's a little capsule that you take off and you inflate with a bike pump to whatever PSI is on the chart, which is usually around this area down here. And to see, it goes by your weight to what PSI you inflate the fork to. Air forks are really good because they have different modes, like lockout, which locks out the fork, it can't go down at all, or full soft, which is where the fork will go down way dramatically. And so there is another type of fork called a spring fork. Spring forks are usually mostly non-tapered, and they come on the stock bikes that you can buy at department stores such as like Dick's or, I hate to say it, but Walmart. Let's go to the other side, mountain bike fork. As you can see on a spring fork, this is on the Walmart website. So spring forks are usually super cheap, like this, such as the SR Sun Tour spring forks that come on stock bikes, and other random brands like Redland. So spring forks usually have two preload adjustment knobs on both sides, where the more preload is softer, the less preload is harder, and there's no rebound adjustment. And rebound adjustment is how quick the suspension goes from being down to up. Fast rebound, it goes up really fast. Slow rebound, it just takes its time to go back up. Spring forks are usually way heavier than air forks, and you can't change how much, you can't adjust the spring really like you can pump up air in an air fork. There's nothing to do that with a spring fork. And now for the three main types of bikes, basically, which have their own unique fork. A downhill bike, as you can see here, has about 230 millimeters of travel on the suspension, so that way it will really work hard and good on a mountain going steep and straight down, but is not good for climbing due to all the weight. So if you live near some mountains and by a lift, a downhill bike is really the way to go. An enduro bike is really an all-around an enduro bike is really good for all around. Okay, that's an endo, not enduro. It's really good for all around mountain biking because of its suspension that has about 130 to 180 millimeters of travel. That is not terrible for climbing, and it has enough suspension to take you down the mountain and take you back up. Now there's one more type of fork. Cross country. Okay, no. MTB. Cross country bike. They're usually hardtails. These are all enduros. They're usually hardtails that are super light with about 100 millimeters of travel on the fork, because you want them light, and you don't really ride it on mountainous terrain. Usually take it down more of like flatter, smoother terrain. It's basically the road biking of mountain biking. It's road biking but with some roots and on a trail. This is pretty good if you have good cardio and endurance and don't really like jumps or all of that. So if you live in flat terrain and you have good cardio and you have a history of road biking, cross-country biking is probably the way to go for you. They're hardtails, super light, probably less than 2.5 pounds, but don't really do well on jumps in downhill terrain. So now, when it comes to buying forks, there's really, you get what you pay for. It's that type of thing. The more you pay, the better the fork is on most cases.